It's interesting, at this point in the Gospel of Matthew, we're 11 chapters in, there's quite a bit that we kind of skip over. It tells us that at first Jesus follows John the Baptist. A lot of things occur, and then he's placed in prison, and now it's pretty funny that he's pretty much questioning, is this the one that is to come? Or should we look for another? See, here it's important because he said we, not them, meaning that he now places himself on the same level as his disciples, as those who were following him, who came out the desert to see John. And so he lowers himself and now becomes an equal. And so should we look for another? It's a good question. And Jesus responds with, look at everything that has occurred. Look at the signs. Look at what was said in the prophets. And it leads us to ask, what do we need to look for? Or what are we looking for? What are we looking at? Throughout the last couple of weeks, I've been talking a lot about prayer. In the other few homilies, I mentioned, we can be distracted and go to other things. It is very true. There are many people who didn't know what to look for at the time of Jesus, who lived their life pretty much maybe like we live ours. Wake up, go tend to whatever it is their craft was, their skill set, and go home, eat, enjoy time with their family, and another day comes. All meanwhile, this happening in the background of many people's lives at the time. And it can be very easy to put God in the back burner, right? For many of us in our lives, the church or the priest can take the place of who God is. Many of us may not even be aware, but a good question to ask is, when I get to heaven and things don't go the way that they were hoped, what will the response be? Will it be, well, I just did what the priest told me to do, or I just did what the church said to do? And that can be what many of the disciples of John the Baptist could have responded in that way. But yet with him lowering himself and putting himself among the equals of them, he's reassuring by sending them to Jesus himself. Pretty much saying, don't listen to me anymore, go to him. Go to him and ask. And this is what the church does. This is what priests are called to do, to point to Jesus. It all goes back to Jesus. Everything, the sacraments, all the teachings of the church, they point back to Jesus. And so do we recognize who we are looking for? And it is a more difficult question than many people realize, because there are people, and I'm sure you know many, who have left the church. Excuses, all of them. Oh, I didn't like how the priest acted or what he had to say. Okay, then you weren't looking at Jesus. I don't like what the church teaches about this or that. Okay, you prideful person, look at Jesus. It's challenging. And so we are not to go out into the desert to see someone dressed in fine clothing, to watch the reeds swayed by the wind, as peaceful as that sounds. No, but we go to the difficult places to see Jesus. And so all of the last few homilies are all meant to help us grow in seeing Jesus, not in leaving behind what has been passed on, but to take what we receive from the priests, from the church, and to move forward to recognize his voice, to recognize when the priest is speaking, it is Jesus and not just the priest. Not everyone can tell the distinction. Not everyone has that level of discernment, but it is available. And so what is it that I'm missing is a good question. Or what is it that I'm allowing to pass by? That question of what am I looking for? That is a great question to ask this week. And it is good timing as well, because for the little bit of you students who are left right now, since the rest of them went home, I don't know, maybe they'll listen to this homily later, but you don't have any finals anymore. You don't have any homework. You don't have anything you're supposed to read. So all you have left is that question, what am I looking for? Not what do I want, but what am I looking for? Is it Jesus, or is it the million other things that tend to catch our eye? That old saying, the eye is the window into the soul. How many do we allow through that window? And is it Jesus? And so this week is a good week to lower oneself and just bring that simple question to prayer. It may be a simple one, but it holds so much weight. And so we owe it to ourselves to let that question in, as did John, as did his disciples, who then become the disciples of Jesus. No longer looking, but found. How great it is to be found and to find what we're looking for.